Okay, so tonight we're joined by Mandy Castellanos, a licensed vocational nurse who serves Runway Recovery as the medical supervisor. Mandy combines her personal experience with her LVN status to connect with clients in a compassionate, understanding way. This evening, she'll talk with us about the importance of medication in recovery, as well as share a little of her personal journey leading up to where she is today. And so, with that, Mandy, we welcome you and we thank you for your time. And I'm going to turn the floor over to you. To you.
Thank you so much, Terry, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mandy. I live in California. I just want to say thank you, and basically, it's a pleasure to do this, especially for September, because it's National Recovery Month, and I believe the theme for National Recovery Month this month for September is hope is real, and I'm a strong believer of hope being real and that everything happens for a reason. So, just a quick background on me personally. Um, I feel like I grew up pretty well in a good middle middle class income family. Both my parents are immigrants. My mom is from the Dominican Republic, and my dad is Salvadorian. That being said, I was born in the Dominican Republic, and then we moved to El Salvador during the Civil War. So don't remember much about that time, but I just remember running and hiding, and then we got asylum, and we came to the States. So I came to the States pretty young, probably like 4 years old, and my parents both hard workers, and they provided the best that they could for us, for me and my sisters at the time. Growing up at home, we just I would say I was a good kid. I was into sports and academics, never had detention, just really focused on school. I was basically a nerd, I would say. Um, So, with that being said, I enjoyed my family life, very family oriented, and I would say my problem with addiction started when I was 14. Began with alcohol, which led into weed, cocaine, and it just escalated from there. And then I went to college and I started working a part-time job at Walgreens. It was supposed to be a summer job, but I ended up becoming an executive assistant manager for 14 years. So I was there for a very long time. I was going to school. Um, it was a good time. It was a good time for me, but I was always in with the substances, alcohol, and I had a lot of issues with my health, reproductive issues, such as ovarian cysts. They thought I had ovarian cancer. I ended up having endometriosis, a tilted uterus, just all these reproductive issues, which led for me to have surgery. So I had surgery, and then they prescribed me Vicodin. So that's when I fell in love with Vicodin. And my OBGYN and my personal doctor kept giving me Vicodin. And then they're like, we can't help you anymore. Let's refer you to pain management. So I was like, okay, I'll do pain management. I thought things would get better, but I got prescribed a higher, stronger medication, Norco and Oxycontin. So I started slowly but surely abusing it because I liked how it felt. I liked how I felt. It was it was something else, and I would keep it. No one in my family knew what I was that I was addicted. No one knew, but my mom, she noticed here and there, but she noticed there was empty bottles of prescription vials, and she noticed I was more withdrawn from family events, and it just led me to become isolated and withdrawn from my family. So I was at Walgreens for a very long time, 14 years. I had a good career at Walgreens, and I would like to say that my morals were compromised by my disease. At the time, I didn't care. I just wanted to get high. So, as a result, I ended up stealing medication from the pharmacy, and that led me to my downfall. And it was just a rough time during that time because I lost my job. I was very deceitful. I didn't care who I was at the time. I just wanted to get high. I didn't care about consequences. Nothing could stop me. And it still hurts a little bit. I still feel a little shame because I can't believe I became that person that would risk it all, my career, my family, my my boyfriend at the time had no idea as well that I was getting high. No one knew. I was what you call a functioning addict. I hid it very well, and I did what I had to do to get my fix. I was taking about 50 Norcos daily. I would end my prescription that they would give me 180 for a month. I would probably finish that in a week and a half. So I went through withdrawals, but I would do whatever it took. I would go to hospitals and say, "Oh, I'm in pain. Can you get me something?" And then there was evidence, right? I had endometriosis, I had cysts. They were like, "Okay, this girl's in pain. Let's give her a prescription for 30." I was hospital hop. It was just bad. And I just want to say that I hurt so much my family, in particular my mom. When I lost my job, I felt hopeless because that's my livelihood. And I was there for a very long time, 14 years. That's like a relationship. I was like married to my job. So it was hard when I got fired because I admitted to what I did. They had suspicion, but I just admitted, yes, it was me. And they didn't arrest me, but I had to make a statement, and that statement was brought when I had to go to court. So I always tell my employees documentation is always important because that could be used for anything. So that night, I walked home and I wanted to die. So I committed, I was trying to commit suicide. So I overdosed on pills. And basically, my friend called me and I told him what happened. And he called the police. So the police came, ambulance came, they took me to the hospital, they put my stomach, and then I was held in the hospital 5150 for 3 days. And it was just a hard time telling this to my mom. My dad, I forgot to mention, was an angry alcoholic, and I still don't have a very good relationship with my dad, but he didn't want nothing to do with me because of my addiction. And my mom was always the one that supported me during that time. And she lives in Alaska. So when I called her from the hospital bed. I was like, "Mom, I got something to tell you." She was like, "What's going on?" Um, I was like, "I tried to kill myself." And she was like, "Why? What's going on?" And I told her my story that I'm an addict. And she's like, "I suspected it, but I didn't really expect that you would go this far, this length to where you're at right now in the hospital." So, being the good mom that she is, she dropped whatever she did, booked a flight to California from Alaska. The weather was bad, but she made it. I'll always be grateful for that because she was there for me when I was in the hospital. So I Ended up going to rehab in Orange County, Cornerstone of Southern California. I admitted myself on December 8th, 2014. So that's my sobriety date. So I have 8 years in county. And it's I was there for 102 days. Detox, residential, and I should have asked for help. I should have gone to my manager and said, "Hey, I have an issue. I have a problem." I didn't know at the time. I don't know why I didn't know that there's help. Employers can help you if you have a problem with addiction or substance abuse. They can help. I had no idea. So basically, I was in rehab, and then I went to this all happened like in my late 30s. I'm 43 years old, going to be 44 next month. But I feel like I'm too old for this. I need to do something with my life. I love helping people, and at the time I was unemployed, but I had an IRA through Walgreens that I was investing in, profit sharing, all that. So I was living off of that. And life is tough when you're not working. So I used most of that money for treatment. Well, luckily my insurance was covered. I had a really good insurance. It was covered until the end of the month. I was in treatment from I was there Christmas and New Year's Eve. It was hard being in treatment during Christmas and New Year's Eve because I wanted to be with my family, but they would come and visit during family night. Every Thursday they had family night, and counselors and myself and my other um the other residents there, we would all talk, basically have like a process group, and it was nice to have family there. Some clients didn't have their family there, and it was sad to see that because they really wanted support. My mom was there, always there for me, and what helps me get through my recovery is the pain I put her through. I never want to see that on her face again. The sadness in her eyes, the disappointment. Don't want to put her through that. So I never want to be a disappointment to myself or her or my family. I have nieces that look up to me, and I try to be a better version of myself for them. So that's pretty much what happened with my addiction. And then I was doing home health aid, caregiving for this family, and I went to school to become an LVN. And I was there for a good 2 years, got my associates in nursing, and took the NCLEX, which is the exam, national exam by the board. So I took that, and I felt defeated after I took it because I felt like I didn't pass. It's a very hard exam by the state. It's like a grueling 3 hours is the maximum. I probably finished it in like 2 hours, and I just felt defeated. I remember that day. I felt defeated. I was crying. I called my mom. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get it. This is what I want to do. So luckily I passed first try, which was a blessing because most people fail or they have to retake it. You get up to 3 tries. So I was very proud that I finished it on the first try. And it was relieving. I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be a nurse. Um, and then eventually become a registered nurse. But then I had to jump another hurdle with the nursing board. So the nursing board isn't fond of addicts. We automatically have a stigma and we're considered not safe. So I had to prove to them that I'm a trustworthy person. That was the past. I was able to get 21 letters from colleagues from school, professors, places I volunteered at. like Shatterproof and the American Diabetes Association. During the downtime, I was actively involved trying to get my life back together. I had to move to Alaska for 2 years, but I would fly back and forth every 6 months. My mom told me, well, you got yourself into this mess. You're going to live in Alaska and you're going to work for me because she owns her own cleaning business. And she's like, you're going to clean, you're going to, make your own money. You got yourself into this. So I was like, okay. So that's what I ended up doing back and forth, saving my money so I could pay for all these fees. And I had to pay restitution to Walgreens. I had court fees. Um, the board was, I felt like, okay, I have to do this. This is what I have to do to become that nurse. And the board was like, okay, you passed your exam, you're qualified, you're skilled. How bad do you want this? They had my hearing in San Diego during Comic Con week. So it was hard to, it was just a challenge. I would just get thrown challenges here and there. So I was able to go to San Diego. And I'm still amazed that I didn't have no one represented me, just myself. And I was against the board. The board had attorney generals, and it was just me. And I plead my story. I told the judge, look, I did the legwork. This is not me anymore. I really want this. And I don't know, maybe the judge had a heart for addicts, but she granted me my license. But I got my license, but it was what they say revoked and placed on probation for 3 years. So it's like the board's like, not yet. You got to still prove to me, provide urine samples for 3 years from my own expense. And I just had to do what I had to do to get where I'm at right now. So it was a challenge with that. It was just a tough time. But like I said, everything had to happen to where I'm at now. Everything had to happen the way it is. So I can share my story with others, inspire them, work in treatment, and relate with the clients and help them out from my point of view and just the best care for our clients. Um, I don't know what else was it. I was going to talk about medications that we use here in treatment, which we have. I'm sorry, I'm like a little nervous. We have medications here. So usually the doctor gives protocols and they're anti-craving medications and for withdrawals for opioid and alcohol disorders. So we have buprenorphine. We have buprenorphine with naloxone. We have Vivitrol. And we have Camprol, Antabuse. And we pretty much just have the clients use them for to help them with their cravings. And it shows there's a lot of stigma between medication and assisted medication assisted treatment, but studies have shown that it has been successful and helps reduce sometimes deaths on people or overdoses. A very special one that I'm proud that has come out recently is naloxone, which is available over the counter. And unfortunately, I've used naloxone on some people because they've overdosed. And I'm just so excited that it's available for everyone now. And I strongly recommend to carry one or have one in your car or in your house just to help with when someone overdoses. And all these medications have been affected to be safe and effective. Um, so pretty much that's all I have for right now.
Okay, Mandy, can you share with us a little more? So, when somebody comes into treatment, right?
Mhm.
Are they detoxed before they come?
They are,
Before they come to Runway, they go to detox, right?
yes.
Now, when they reach the facility, is that when they begin um, the Vivitrol or any of those MAT treatments to help them at the facility?
I'm sorry, what was that?
So, do they get those medications in treatment, or
They
do they?
do, yes.
Okay,
But there's a
okay,
period you have to wait, right? Because if you take that medication too soon, then you're gonna get precipitated withdrawal symptoms, and it's very difficult to for
and
the
how,
client.
how long is that period?
72 hours, 48 to 72. It depends on assessment as well, and also the
Okay.
client's history, their how much they've used. Maybe they have to wait a little longer
Hmm.
to get
Right.
a better result.
Well, first, I want to say I'm so glad you're here and that you did not succeed, because you're just the epitome of hope. I mean, you did not give up. You did not
Thank
give up the whole time. You stayed on track with your goal, and that's what I feel for myself, and I think many other moms. That's our hope. That's what we want to see our loved ones do, and you just proved that it's possible. So, I mean, that's awesome. So,
thank you.
we got a couple of questions here, and it says, Betsy says, your story is so much like my daughter's addiction journey. I hope one day she gets to the point where she realizes everything I did for her and how supportive I was, like you did. She hasn't spoke to me in over a year, so thank you for sharing your story.
You're
So,
welcome. Thank you.
and then Kim has a question. She says, do you yourself use MAT medications in your own personal recovery to
I
this day?
started, I did. I started with naltrexone. So naltrexone works for opioid dependency and alcohol. So they placed me on that and it works. And eventually I didn't want to take any more medication, so they weaned me off of it. So that was
Right.
probably just for, I was on it for 1 year.
So and I guess that's a question that I have too, is it safe to stay on those for a lifetime
It
if you
is
need
safe.
it?
It's studies have proven that it's safe, but it could be it's management, right? It's maintenance. So that's what it's for, to help
Right.
if you're dealing with cravings.
Okay. Okay. So anybody else have a question, pop it in chat. And I noticed I wrote down when you were speaking, Mandy, you were taking 50 Norcos a day
A day. Surprised my liver's okay
and
because
nobody knew.
that's a lot of Tylenol.
So was it because your resistance had built up so much that people couldn't tell?
Right? It was just tolerance. My tolerance went too high, and I
Mhm.
just needed it to function, basically.
Right. Right. Well, I know we talk about a lot of the things that you mentioned here for Matt. We're always asking questions, and I know some of the things that we run into is our loved ones, they're not interested, for one thing. Um, and then there may be something else where, there's an insurance issue, and how do you pay for these things, because they can get pretty expensive, if they want to do it. So that was valuable. And Sharon asked a question. She says, is naltrexone for alcohol only, as well, or does it have to be for a combination of alcohol and opioids?
It can be used for both. It's one of
But
those drugs that
separately?
you can use it. Yes.
Okay. So it'll work for alcohol by itself, Sharon, is what she's
Yes.
saying. It'll work for opioids or,
There's a version, an injection, which is more popular. It's called Vivitrol Revia. That's what they use for as well for injection. If you're not
Mhm.
like a person that wants to take um, pills every day or you forget, we have the injection version of it.
And when you're talking about Suboxone, is there any difference at all between the strips and the pills themselves?
Well, Suboxone has naloxone, so it's
Mm-hmm.
two ingredients in there. It's for basically buprenorphine is for stabilization. So no, no, excuse me. Suboxone has those two ingredients, which is going to help for stabilization and cravings as well,
Okay. Okay.
and maintenance.
And maintenance. Okay. Well, you're amazing, Mandy. And we
Oh,
sure
thank you
appreciate
so
your
much.
time here. I mean, it's always wonderful to hear a successful story of hope.
Thank
And
you.
we just appreciate your time here. And we just thank you for coming and visiting
Thank
us.
you.
We always learn so much, and we appreciate you sharing your story with us. It gives me hope for sure. And
Thank you so much.
can go on and look more positively for the next day. So, with that,